Hello, welcome to another episode of Raine B Plays The Sims. This time it's a color challenge, but with a twist. I chose to select the pre-made rooms, as you can plainly tell, but it would be cheating because some of those rooms do have black items in them, or they do have the option to select black so that a majority of the items would be that color, or whatever color you ended up getting on your wheel. So what I did was I picked a room that was moderately priced, at least. I don't know that I went for anything too expensive, although this home did end up being another above starter level value, and sorry, I'm working on it. But anyway, my challenge is I chose each of these pre-made rooms, and before I continue, let me just say, if you struggle with layout the way I do, this is a great way to go. You can choose these rooms. Yes, they're not cheap, but I don't know that they're any more expensive than if you were to build your own walls and put your own stuff in there. I think they kind of balance each other out. Of course, you can buy a cheaply made, pre-made room and then add more expensive items by simply deleting what they gave you, and that's what I did. I chose rooms of adequate size, I think, and then I went back in. I took every item out, and then that was the amount of items I could put back in. But I had to choose black. And my accent color that I chose for myself was white. Now, I could have gone with yellow. Actually, any accent color looks good with black. I like pink and black. I like very light green with black. Very bright yellow with black. But I went with white, just probably for the purposes of this video, so I wouldn't shock anyone. But the amount of items in each room that I purchased, I took out. And then I went in and I looked for items that I wanted, or in some cases, they were items that I had never used before or never even noticed that I had. But they had to be black. A majority of my accent items were walls. No, I guess. If there was too much black, or if I felt like it was becoming overwhelming, that was when I went for white. And I think it came out fabulously. Honestly, I had so much fun with this challenge. I had fun decorating. I had fun thinking of ways to decorate. I'm telling you, it was interesting. And I look forward to doing it again someday. But as for the result, I mean, the entire house in black and white is for me, it was a little overwhelming. It's too much of the same color. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've already done one of those every room is a different color challenge. I'm probably going to do one again. But here's the weird, if you want to say ironic thing. I had previously recorded this using red because that was the color I chose. And as I was working on it, Lil Simsy just happened to do a color challenge, and her color was red. So I had to delete my project and start all over again. And that's when I got the idea to choose the pre-made rooms. And I don't know, I just think it's fun. You know what? It's probably a lazy thing on my part, but in all honesty, it's not necessarily if you struggle with layout. If you're staring at a blank lot, going, I don't want to make another rectangle. I just don't want to make another rectangle with a roof on it. Then choosing the pre-made rooms might be an option. You can turn them any way you want. Yes, you can make them bigger or smaller. I ended up having to for the second floor's sake. But this isn't something where I would put all these stringent rules anyway, because I'm not, I'm just not someone who likes rules. I don't like abiding by them. I don't like having to follow them. Although I do, I'm a law-abiding citizen. But I resent it most of the time. Oh, no, I don't. It's just an inconvenience. And for the sake of a silly game, there aren't that many restrictions. I want to mention real quick, though, I am apparently having microphone and recording issues. I know it sounds like I'm constantly, how would you say this? It's gross, but smacking my lips or clicking my tongue, I'm not. It's my recording. The software itself is stammering, the red line that shows that it's recording. It stops and then it goes. It stops and then it goes. Now, I've done as much as I can as far as tweaking goes, and it doesn't seem to be helping. And then my microphone, I'm not even touching it. I told you guys I bought one of those extension bars. My microphone is hanging in midair, and I'm just talking into it. And yet it's clicking. Like there's static in the air or something. I try to get rid of as much of it as I can, and I do apologize if it's annoying. But it might not be as annoying to you once you realize it's not me doing that. It's the microphone. I can't see there being too much static in the air. I've got the window cracked. I'm wearing 100% cotton. But as I mentioned, I'm not even touching the microphone. It's just hanging here in front of my face. And I do have one of those round screens that are supposed to subdue pea popping. I don't notice that it works. But something's causing my microphone to get static. I do have my speakers a little close to the metal bar, and that might be it. But the speakers aren't on right now. I'm using headphones. So the mechanics of it escapes me. But I just want to apologize for that. I'm trying desperately to clean it up as best I can. Is to select all of the recording and then ask it to reduce background noise. But then when I go to play it back, you can barely hear me speaking. It's so quiet. But if I turn it up even 3 or 4 decibels, then I'm screaming at you and the red lines are... It's weird. I'm not expert enough to know how to fix it. I'm just letting you know it's not me. It's my microphone. I am looking into purchasing a better quality one. I just never know what to go with. So I sit there staring and thinking and not really doing anything at that point. But I'm at least at that point, so that's a good thing. Now, as I mentioned earlier, some of these items, this wallpaper here threw me. I'm like, where did this come from? It's so cute. But it ends up, for me, it ended up feeling like a masculine home. So I created a man for a young man. He has no children. He's not married. He doesn't even have pets. But I gave him the writing aspiration and the loner trait. So I think he'll fit in perfectly here because I don't know if anyone is familiar with this hindquarter hideaway, which is a very vulgar term, title for a plot, whatever. It's in Brindleton Bay. I've never been on this lot before, but it's as secluded as the one nearby. It is surrounded by trees, and it took me a minute to figure out how you even get in and out of this lot. I had to turn the house on its side in order to have it make sense. So the entrance is a little pushed back. But from that doorway, getting into the house, you would walk straight and then turn right. See, I can hear this. I can hear the microphone. It is crackling. I'm sorry. Anyway, you would turn right, kind of curve around some bushes, and then go down this very steep redwood stairs to get to a road. This entire lot is secluded. Big boulders, very tall trees. There's not much of a view, but it's still pretty. So since he's a loner and he's a writer anyway, I figured this was ideal for him. I had so much fun with the yard. I didn't record it because I figured you guys are getting tired of seeing me do the same thing, but I didn't. I went into the debug items, which are free, but there's so much more to choose from. And I got a little carried away. You'll see that when we go through the after tour. I think I got carried away, but there were some adorable items that I just had to have. And some of them even light up at night. It was so nice. I should have probably shown you a night view, but I didn't think to do that. I'm not sure you will see the roof clipping this time because I had the forethought to take him through the house first. I kept looking up in every single room, did not notice any clipping. So I think I figured out once and for all how to avoid that when I make my roofs. Although I'm still not good at, they look so generic and silly, but a roof is a roof is a roof. I wish I had another color choice, I think. But in the end, it's not as bad as I had initially thought it would be. Black is so stark. Yes, it looks good on most people, regardless if they're wearing pants, a t-shirt, a dress. But on a house, it's a little, I don't know. How would you say foreboding? It just doesn't say, come on in and let's have a party. It's more like, stay away if you value your life. So I think the white accents cut into that fairly well. And in my last video, I mentioned not having a clue as to how the value of these homes just runs away with me. Fencing is not cheap. And I just use it willy-nilly. I don't even look at the cost. I'm looking for what looks best for this build. I select it and then I just, zip it around where I want it. I need to really pay closer attention to how expensive that is. Stairways, fencing, and then the walls themselves, which is unfair. You have to build walls if you're going to build a house, right? But it will catch up with you real quick if you don't pay attention. But this was not a starter home penny pinching endeavor. This was a color challenge. And I think I built a sensible home and a usable home, but it's definitely not cheap. Now, this hallway, I apologize. At first, I told myself, don't touch this hallway. It's not part of the rooms that you bought. And then I went upstairs. I finished upstairs. I went outside. I started doing landscaping. And then when I came back in, I'm like, but wait a minute, there's this great big open space on the second floor. I can't just leave it like this. So I'm like, well, what would he want to have? And I did give him the active trait. So I said, well, all right, then here, have some exercise equipment. That toilet looks brown to me. I don't care what anybody at EA says. That's not black, it's brown. And you may have already noticed some of the items are not true black. They're more brown. But they ended up in the black color category because, again, you may have noticed that I kept selecting black, and then all of the EA items that came up were in that category. And some of them made me laugh because they were just absolute white, or they'd have a hint of brown or black somewhere, but they weren't true black. Some of the items were pink. I don't know how they ended up in the black category, but they were pink. So yes, this here I gave him. So when I went back downstairs and started the tour, I'm like, well, why didn't you do this? I didn't put any paintings on the wall. I didn't give him any plants and nothing. But I suppose if you end up downloading it, you could decorate it to your heart's content. I just didn't do it for this video, and I apologize. I also didn't give him a wall to hide that toilet. But I think my mindset at that moment was, I'm tired of doing this. I keep doing it in every build. People are probably getting tired of seeing it. If you don't want to give them a separate room for the toilet, then just throw it in there and walk away. So I did. But normally I would block it off. And again, it isn't, how would you say, a haughty decision? That's the way it's been for me my whole life. The house I grew up in and two of the homes, one of the three homes that I lived in, there was a half wall cutting off the tub from the toilet. I'm sorry I'm using that word. So I just do it out of habit. But sometimes I'm just like, no, just leave it. Just go with it. So I think that towel rack thing there, they put it under black because the rag, the little, what do you call that? A hand towel? Face? Washcloth? That was black, but everything else wasn't. But if it came under EA's guidelines as black, then I chose it. That's all I'm saying. The windows weren't cheap. I believe they're Moschino windows. I don't quite remember. But I'm very happy with the results. And again, I had so much fun with this. I'm probably going to be doing it again really soon. This was a joy. It's just difficult for me. I'm glad I found that website that does the color spin. But they were pretentious colors. They weren't the primaries, which I would rather have them give me, and then I would go off with the pretentious, how would you say, hues of the primary color. Those little lanterns there, they're from the Snowy Escape. I apologize if anybody doesn't have that pack, but they're so cute. I had to put them down. That came in debug, and they light up at night. It's just adorable. So we're coming up on the end here. I hope you enjoyed this video. I thank you so much for sticking with me to this point. I really appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.